Are you a chiropractor with a struggling practice, having a hard time finding and keeping patients? Is your staff falling short of expectations? I'm Dr. Scott Sawyer, and DC Trainings has the answers that you need. So tune in now and find out how. Hello, welcome to DC Trainings. I'm Dr. Scott Sawyer, and happy holidays to all of you. It's great to be with you today. I've got a good topic. It's a strong topic, and it's an important topic, and that is health talk marketing. So we're moving right along. We're actually in week 5 of module 6. So module 6 being goals and marketing. And the story I want to share with you happened yesterday, and it has to do with health talk marketing. And let me just pause for a minute, because when I speak about health talk marketing, you're probably thinking of, or you're visualizing a large room of people, right? An audience. Maybe it's 5 people, maybe it's 500 people that you're speaking to in this sort of health talk marketing format. And just right there alone can be a little intimidating, right? I've shared this story in the past. I shared it at the seminar, and it had to do with a survey that was done. And this was from a show called Seinfeld on television, but he was talking about a survey that was done, a nationwide survey. One of the topics on the survey was the top 10 fears that people have. So what is it that you're most afraid of? And in the survey, there was a couple choices. One of the choices was fear of dying. One was fear of drowning. One was fear of being on an airplane. Another was fear of public speaking. And when the results of the survey came back, the assumption was obviously number 1 is going to be the fear of dying. But interestingly enough, the result of the survey came back, and number 2 on the results was fear of dying. Number 1 was fear of public speaking. And so Seinfeld's response to that was, do you mean to tell me that if I'm at a funeral and there's a guy, a priest giving a eulogy for a guy that's in the casket, and then he says to the audience, you'd rather be the guy in the casket than the guy giving the eulogy? Haha, that's the joke. Anyways, so yes, there's a fear around public speaking, but the way I perceive it is that fear is actually what draws our emotions, that gives us adrenaline, that gives us the drive to really do a good job. And sometimes, especially in chiropractic, there are times when we're called upon to do things that are bigger than ourselves. We have to overcome our own fears, our own inhibitions in an attempt or in pursuit of spreading the message of chiropractic. And that is what brings us to our topic today. So if you do have fears or reservations, or you're uncomfortable with public speaking, just know that the benefit that you'll be able to provide by sharing the story of chiropractic and sharing the information behind the chiropractic principles is so far reaching that it can hopefully allow you to overcome those inhibitions. Okay. So that's why I want to make sure as we dive into this topic that you feel comfortable. And of course, I'm going to show you how to do this. But I also said I'd share a story with you from yesterday. So yesterday in my own practice, I was seeing patients. We were having a great day. And I had a patient come in who he actually called first and asked to speak with me. So this is before he even showed up to his appointment. He called and he said, I want to talk to Dr. Sawyer. Can he please call me? And so I got a note, please call this patient. So I did. And when I called him, his name's Max. Max said, I wanted to ask you for a favor. My girlfriend has been having back pain and she needs to come in and get adjusted. And I've asked her to, but she's afraid of getting adjusted because a friend of hers told her it hurt. And so she doesn't want to come in, or she's afraid of coming in, but she's in a lot of pain. And so I was hoping that she could come with me to my appointment. Now, obviously, this is one of those examples where my answer was, of course, bring her with you. I want to meet her. I want to ask her some questions that would lead me down the path of knowing whether or not I can help her. So fast forward, Max comes in for his appointment, and he brings in his girlfriend, and she is sitting next to him. Now, I didn't go in and do the adjustment first because, watching an adjustment sometimes can be a little startling for someone that's never seen chiropractic care provided, and especially for somebody who's already a little skeptical and nervous. So what I did is I just asked her some questions. What have you been experiencing? And she told me about her back pain and how it had been going on for a while, and it seemed to be getting worse. And I said, well, do you mind if I just feel your spine a little bit and just kind of see what I find? And she said, well, that'd be okay. And I said, no, just no, I'm not going to do anything that would be scary or painful or anything like that. I just want to get a feel. So I did what would basically be a spinal screening. I palpated her spine. I found the area where the soreness has been. I also found where I felt there was a subluxation, and I felt like that was what was causing it. Now, where am I going with this story? Where I'm going with this story is that this is a perfect example of what? Health talk marketing. I'm speaking to an audience about the benefits of chiropractic care in an attempt to educate the audience about how they should be receiving chiropractic care. And the reason why I use this story is because, again, going back to where I started, there could be 500 people that you're speaking to, or there could literally just be one person. Either way, you are giving a health talk. You're promoting chiropractic. You're promoting the philosophy that all of us should be operating from a position of being subluxation free and having our nervous system function maximized through chiropractic care. So that's the sort of the spread, or the range, if you will, of how this can really help you to see past maybe your own fears or your own reservations about giving health talks. Just talk to people, whether it's one person or 500, tell the story. Everybody needs chiropractic care. It's going to help us all to become healthier. So with that, let's jump into our topic. And I thought that would be a great way to kick us off. Okay, so health talk marketing is going to essentially, here's an overview, right? We're speaking to a live audience. Now, it could just be chiropractic health talk marketing, but there's lots of topics. And this is your shoe-in. If you would like to start building your practice through giving presentations to companies or to groups, then obviously you'll need more than one topic. So on the website, which I'll come back to in a few minutes, we have various topics, and there's different angles that you can use for getting into various venues to tell the story and share your health talk. They can be on-site or off-site, right? I'm going to give you some examples. There's companies that I've gone out and spoken to, and then I've also spoken to an audience right here in my office. So there's company health talks, there's nutrition health talks, there's ergonomic workshops, there's life balance health talks. So there's a lot of different topics. And again, we'll come back to that. So, but again, just as an overview, just know for health talks, it could be one person or many. It could be in your office or outside your office. It can be anywhere, anytime. Okay. All right. So let's start with the most basic health talk. And I don't tell you this to brag. This is just my own personal story. Maybe as a way to motivate you to get out there and get started. But when I first got out of school, I started giving health talks to my classmates. Actually, I was still in school, but my first talk was called an orientation talk. And I've continued to give the orientation health talk to this day. I give it every month to all of our new patients. And that's, so on your screen, it says all new patients should attend. And it's a good way to introduce the doctor's philosophy towards healthcare. And it's a great way to generate referrals. So those are three main points from the orientation. All new patients should attend. It's going to introduce your philosophy as a doctor, and it's going to generate lots of referrals. So let's dive into those a little more carefully. All new patients attend. How do you get your new patients to attend the orientation? This is a question I get asked all the time. And when we get into module 3 in the report of findings, I'll show you more detail about the way in which you're going to sign up your new patients for the orientation. But let me just give you the Cliff Notes version right now, because when you have a new patient sitting in front of you and it's at the report of findings and they're anticipating starting a care plan, which we'll also teach you in module 3, then part of that care plan includes a bunch of appointments for chiropractic care. One of those appointments, which, and you might want to write this down, is a requirement for me to accept them as a new patient, right? So in the report of findings, I'm literally saying, in order for me to accept you as a new patient, it's only with the understanding that you agree to follow through with my recommendations. Because if for some reason you're not able to follow through with my recommendations, then obviously your results would suffer. And I know you're not going to want to come here if you're not getting results. I also would not want to have you as a patient if your results are suffering as well. So in order for me to accept you as a new patient, I'm going to ask that you commit to following through with my appointments. And the patient might say, whoa, 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 stop right there. I don't know what appointments you're going to require. Well, we'll get to that. But I'm just setting the stage because when I do get to that part, I want you to know I'm looking out for your best interest in terms of how you're going to get the best results. One of the appointments that's going to be required in order for me to accept you as a patient is our new patient orientation. And what that does is it gives me an opportunity. It's a one-time class. You'll come, you'll get all the information that you need. You can take it with you. You won't have to attend again. But in this class that I teach every month, I give you all the parameters of how to protect your spine through lifestyle, whether it be nutrition, exercise, sleeping, ergonomics, posture. I get a lot of questions around that. So we cover all of that in this one-time class, and it'll empower you in a way that you'll be able to take better care of your condition so your condition doesn't continue to go downhill as it has in the past. So that class is called the orientation, and I want to make sure that we reserve a seat for you at the next class, which is coming up next month. Okay, so that's how we get our new patients to attend. We require it right from the start. In order to accept them as a patient, we're requiring that they attend the class. Now, we're not done there, because once they say, okay, great, doc, I'm going to attend the class, then for every visit after that, we're going to continue to remind them about the upcoming class until they attend. So don't get robotic about it. You'll just say things like, John, it's great to see you today. That was a great adjustment. Oh, by the way, you have 2 weeks until that orientation class. Just want to make sure you've got that on the calendar because I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Great. Okay. Then is the next visit. Hey, John, that was a good adjustment today. I'm still noticing there's pressure from the subluxations on your shoulders. And one of the things we're going to cover in that class when you come is better posture. So I'm looking forward to that. That's it. Just a little teaser, a little reminder. And each time that patient comes in, they're going to have a reminder about that upcoming class until they attend. So don't make it too robotic, but we're going to remind them every time until they attend. Okay. And that's how you'll make sure that you have all your new patients actually show up for the class. It's also a great way to introduce the philosophy of the doctor. There's a certain bedside manner that we have when we're taking care of a patient, right? We have empathy, we have seriousness, we have focus, right? We're providing the best adjustment that we can possibly give to that individual at that time. Another phrase in chiropractic that we call this is present time consciousness, right? PTC. We have that super focus. Well, there's another aspect that we have as doctors, and that is that we're out to save the world, right? We want to provide chiropractic care to as many people as possible. We know that there's miracles that happen every day. You know, there's symptoms that are gone. There's cancer that's healed. There's lives that are changed. All these things are happening. And that sort of big picture perspective and excitement doesn't really have a place at the table side, right? Because it's more one-on-one, it's more endearing, it's more empathetic, it's more focused. But there is a time and a place to sort of take the gloves off, as they say, and say, hey, I'm a fanatic about chiropractic care. I want to save and help as many people as possible, and I need your help to do it. Okay. That's the place and the environment for the orientation. So it's a place to get excited, to think abundance, to tell the story from a position of you're out as a beacon of health for your community, and get your patients to side with you on it and back you on that, and get excited on the journey that you've taken to be a chiropractor, right? So that's the aspect of the orientation where your philosophy in terms of what your objective is as a chiropractor, as a doctor of chiropractic, that's the place for the orientation. The third part, and this is also a lot of fun, because the third part of this is where we're going to start generating referrals. And again, not to brag, but just to wet the whistle for you and get you motivated, but I've had literally over 100 referrals from one orientation. Now, that came because I had specific steps that I followed to generate those referrals, but it also occurred because of my excitement around my philosophy. There's a saying in chiropractic that says, your patients don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Your patients don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that stands at this time with what I'm talking about, because to generate referrals and to get patients excited about referring lots of people to your practice to help your community to be a healthier place to live for everyone who lives here, that's where you're going to really have that momentum and the exponential growth in your practice. So back to when I started in practice, this was exactly what I used to start my practice. I started doing the orientation. I actually, and I'll show you some pictures of this, but we were quickly able to grow the practice in a way that from literally within 2 years of opening my doors, I was personally by myself, not with an associate, but personally adjusting over 200 patients a day just from the orientation. I did no other marketing. It was only from the orientation. So here's an example on your screen of one of the classes that I taught. You can see there's maybe 10 or 15 people there, and we're just all smiling at the camera. And then, of course, I took it from there and taught the class. So that's a more recent one, sometime in the last year or so. I'm going to also show you a picture from in the past, because this picture, as you can see, and I know some of you are listening to the podcast, so you may not see the picture. So to describe it for you, this is a picture of me when I was literally still a student at Palmer Chiropractic College, and I wanted to get my feet wet. I wanted to start getting comfortable speaking in front of an audience so that I could do that which I'm teaching you. And in the picture here, you'll actually see one of the ladies is my soon-to-be wife. She was my fiance at the time, but my wife. And then there's actually 3 classmates and 2 of my patients. Now, how did that happen? Well, I had 2 patients. That's all I had. And I wanted to teach a class. Well, teaching a class to 2 patients is not really a class per se. So I had to bribe my classmates and my fiance to come and join my class so that we could have an audience there and make those 2 patients feel like they weren't the only ones. So this was my first orientation class that I taught, and it was very simple. I taught the brain-body diagram. And for those of you who have experience with that, it's a very simple safety pin cycle diagram. You teach the safety pin cycle, meaning that the brain sends the messages to the body sends messages back to the brain, and that cycle is what equals optimum health through the nervous system. When one side of that cycle gets interrupted, i.e. through a subluxation, then the messages from the brain either do not get to the body properly, or the body doesn't properly communicate back to the brain. And the breakdown in that communication causes dis-ease, or a loss of normal function, resulting in some problem in the body that accumulates until there's a symptom or a health problem. Very simple and very easy to explain, and yet very powerful for any layperson to realize, I need to take care of my nervous system. This is a really important part of my health. So that's just a nice picture there from that class. And I still do it to this day. After more than 25 years in practice, I never miss the orientation. So here's an outline, as I said. So the outline and script for the orientation talks about how all new patients should attend. And then we have specific supplies that you'll go through with your presentation. And what would those supplies include? Well, the first thing is you want to have a great attitude. You want to be excited. You want to smile and say, hey, I'm so happy to be here with you to teach you this class. The second is, and as I said earlier, by comparison, your tableside manner is more serious, more focused, more empathetic. This is more, hey, we're here to really celebrate, because what I'm about to share with you is literally going to be able to benefit you for the rest of your life. So this is a more happy and upbeat environment. That's the first thing, right? Beyond that, as you saw in the picture, you could have a dry erase board to write some topics down. We've actually provided some of the supplies that you'll need specifically in the orientation, marketing, outline, and script, which is in your material. So I'll come back to that in just a moment. But the supplies are important. It doesn't take a lot though, but the supplies are important. The next is having content. You want to maximize education. The last thing you'd want to do is have patients take time out of their day to come to your class and then walk away feeling like, I didn't really get anything from that. right? We want to have people come into your class and walk away saying, wow, that was really great. I took an hour out of my day and I brought my spouse and I walked out feeling like, yes, I got something that I can use here, right? So that content is important. And I'll give you some of the gems that you'll need to be able to have that content be valued when they leave the class. And you'll know if you blew it on that one, because you'll have people come to the orientation, and then when they come back for their next appointment after the orientation and you say, hey, how'd you like the class the other night? They'll go, yeah, it was not so good. Or I can give you lots of examples because I'm in practice like you. I've been through these scenarios. You'll have one patient come to the class, they'll refer a friend during the class, and then their friend comes in as a new patient. Their friend is now at the report of findings, and you say, as part of my requirements for accepting you as a new patient, I'll need you to come to this class. And then they'll say one of two things. You'll know you blew it if they say, oh, my friend told me about that class and they said I don't need to go because it's not really worth it. That's first. Or they'll say, oh yeah, my friend that referred me said that was a great class. I'm looking forward to it. So there's just a two sides of the coin on that. So I'm giving you the information that you need so you can do a really good job with your health talk marketing and give a great orientation. Okay, let's keep going. The close. Now, this is where, as I said, I've had hundreds of new patients come in from this class, and that's not exaggerating. So I want to give you what you need as far as the close, and we'll talk about this in just a minute when I go over the materials. And then, of course, when you do a close and you have lots of referrals, you want to make sure that you do your follow-up properly so that those referrals actually become new patients. Okay, and we'll look at that in just a moment. We're going to shift over before I do that because I want to show you the materials on the website, but we're going to shift over because it's important that you have balance in terms of the different types of health talk marketing you're doing, right? You could just put all your eggs in one basket and just do the orientation, and that's fine. I like to do a nutrition class. I've found that a lot of patients have questions for me, the doctor, about nutrition. And those questions usually come up during adjusting, which is not a time that I have time to really dive into questions. So it's a great way, if you find that you're getting a lot of questions in your practice around a certain topic. There's one of our DC trainees members, she practices in the Bay Area, and she gets a lot of questions because of her focus around women's health. So she's designed a health talk around women's health because that's something that she's focused on in her practice, and she gets a lot of questions from her patients about it. It's a nice way to be able to condense your adjusting time into strictly adjusting, and then condense your other health topics into another condensed time. See, so I'm going to use this women's health example because this particular doctor, she's very successful with it. She strictly focuses on adjusting patients, and then she also has some marketing materials, and she has some posters up around her office, some testimonials about women's health. So patients say, hey, could you help me with this? Or could you help me with that? And she says, that's a great question. That's why I scheduled you for this health talk that I'm going to be giving. And it's specifically on women's health. So hold your questions. Right now, I'm going to focus on your adjustment, but just know that all those questions are going to be answered at this health talk that I'll be giving, and you'll be able to attend that. So that it's a nice way to condense your adjusting into adjusting, and then your speaking about other topics or sharing information around other topics into those areas. It'll make your practice much more efficient when you do it in this way. So here you can see the picture of me. I'm actually teaching a class on nutrition. My wife and I personally made dinner for all these people. There's about more than 20 people there. So we made dinner for them, invited them to the class. Everybody enjoyed the meal, and they got some great information on nutrition. So another great way to really promote your practice and share that information. Okay, so here's the outline for nutrition, and you can apply this to women's health as well. All new patients attend in the same way they do for the orientation. The supplies, I'll give you those on an outline in just a moment as far as what to supply, but obviously in the class on nutrition, you'll want to supply some food, and it shouldn't be pizza from Domino's. It should be something healthy because you're going to be teaching about health. Content, maximize the education, right? That's the next part. We want to have good content, because when your patients come back and they get to their next appointment for their adjustment after the class, and you ask them, how was the class? You want to make sure that the response is, oh, that was a great class. I'm so glad I came, right? So we're going to give you the information and the content in the outline that you'll be able to use and make your class a great class and well received. The close, once again, is an important part of your health talk marketing in the aspect of the nutrition class or in the women's health. Well, actually, let me change that. It could, in the women's health, I think most of the referrals that are going to come are going to be for more new patients. I'm thinking of this doctor in particular because she's in the Bay Area and she gets a lot of new patients that come in specifically around women's health. For me, I don't spend a lot of time on nutrition in my practice. So what I use the nutrition class for is a way to generate more talks. So when patients come to my nutrition class, we ask them on a survey, by the way, if you enjoyed this information today and you work at a company in town, how would you like us to come into your company and provide a free 1-hour class or 20-minute class with free food for your coworkers or for your employees? And lots of our business owners in town and lots of our employees that work at different companies have taken us up on that offer, and we've been able to go into those companies, and then we bring food and we give a health talk, and it works out great as a way to spread the word. And from those talks, then we generate the new patients. So the nutrition talk in my office is a great way to generate more talks at outside companies, and from those companies, we get lots of new patients. Okay, that's why it says close, generate more health talks. Okay, let's kind of wrap this up because I want to show you the website too, but it says on the screen, with public speaking, confidence grows, and it becomes easier to convey your philosophy during patient visits. So let me give you an example. If I have a patient who says, and in my orientation class, one of the things that I talk about, and I have a story that goes with this that I teach at every class, I talk about the story. I had a patient who came in, he started getting adjusted, and about a month into his care, he said, my pain has not changed at all. I'm still hurting, and I don't think this is working for me. And I had to go to him and say, well, just hang in there and come to the class. And he came to the class, but sorry, I messed that up a little bit because I'm telling you the story about him, which I do share in my class. So the point of that was, he said, my pain's still there. It's been a month. Why am I still hurting? So in response to that, I explained to him from an objective angle about subluxations. And this is important because we all know as chiropractors that subluxations can pinch the nerves and cause pain. But at the same time, subluxations could pinch the nerves and not hit the pain fibers, but they can compress the discs. They can cause altered body function in some capacity that doesn't result in pain. In other words, you could have a silent subluxation. Does that make it okay? No, we still want to have that subluxation corrected regardless of whether or not it's causing pain. That would be like saying, I only want to go to the dentist when my teeth hurt. Well, that doesn't make sense, because if you wait till your teeth hurt, the damage is going to be much bigger and you'll require a lot more dental care or dental reconstruction because you waited too long. So in this case of this story, this about this patient, I like to share that in my orientation class, and it lets the audience know, hey, I'm going to do my best to open up the nerves so that your body can function the way it's supposed to function, and your pain hopefully will go away. If it doesn't, just know that, first of all, there may be some permanent damage there that I can't correct, but just know that your spine will be better off in the long term without subluxations. Fair enough? So regardless of pain, there's still a reason to continue with chiropractic care. So it's nice to share that story in the class for those patients who are maybe still hurting and wondering, when's my pain going to go away? I've had lots of patients who had that in their mind. And then after they come to the class, they realize, you know what? I know I'm still hurting, but at the same time, I don't want it to get worse. I don't want to end up worse off. So I'm going to continue with my chiropractic care in an effort to preserve what structural integrity I have left and not let my condition worsen. So you see how that takes on a more objective approach rather than a subjective approach. That's the point I want to get here. So those are some examples of how when you're doing this, these health talk marketing approaches, and I'll just read the slide again. With public speaking, your confidence grows and it becomes easier to convey philosophy during patient visits. So it builds your confidence in terms of what you're sharing and what you're seeing with patients during their care. Okay, let's jump and next. Well, I'll pause. Next week, we're going to talk about spinal screening marketing, and again, I shared that story with you today because the patient who came in, and I did my little mini health talk to my patient's girlfriend, and then she signed up as a new patient. Well, we're going to combine that next week into spinal screening marketing, where I'll show you whether you're just talking to one patient in your office, how to do a spinal screening, or whether you're out at an event like an art and wine festival and you're screening many, many people. Either way, I'll teach you how to do that spinal screening marketing. I want to show you these materials that we have. And these materials for this week are great because we'll go ahead and log into DC Trainings. And you can see all these materials. We have our Health Talk menu. I said I would come back to this, but on the Health Talk menu, this menu will show you different forms of health talks that you can give. So these are great because it allows you to speak on health and wellness, stress reduction, living the 100-year lifestyle, weight loss and nutrition for maximum performance, stay fit while you sit, injury prevention, women's health, I mentioned that, headaches. So all these are examples of health talks that I've given to different companies in town to generate lots of new patients and to spread the word about chiropractic. So that's on there as some topics. One of our DC Trainings members who's in Arizona, he was asking me because he had a nutrition, or not a nutrition talk, but an ergonomic talk coming up. So he had some questions for me, and we worked through those questions so that he could give a great presentation to this company, and it went off really well. So if you do have specific questions about a health talk coming up, just let us know. We have the orientation talk outline. And in this one, as I mentioned, I wanted to spend a minute to go through this because on the slide, you saw that there was the attendance required by all new patients, supplies to enhance the presentation. And I use the example of get excited, have a great attitude, but it also shows you some other examples here that you can use to give a great orientation class. There's also content. Right here, this section, I like this section here on the content page. And the reason why I like this is because it outlines 5 factors of health. And this can be the basis for basically any talk that you're giving, with emphasis on the one that relates to that specific talk. So as an example, number 5 on the 5 factors of health is a sound nervous system. So obviously in my orientation class, because I'm talking to a bunch of new patients, that's going to be my focus for that talk, is around the nervous system and subluxations. Let's say I'm going to a class where the topic is ergonomics. Well, out of the 5 factors of health, one of the big factors around ergonomics would be posture, but also it would be exercise. So I'm going to spend a little more time on exercise. I'll show them how to have good posture, but I want to spend more time on exercise because for those of us who sit a lot, obviously exercise is what counters that. Let's say I'm talking to, also could be if I'm talking to a group that's more sedentary and maybe my topic is weight loss. Well, number 1 is nutrition. So there's ways that we can custom tailor these 5 factors of health into basically any talk that we're giving and make it appropriate. So it's really a fun way to do that. And that's why I include these 5 things in the content section to maximize education. I also want to address in your talks, you want to address reservations that your audience will have about coming to see you. So and if you see your screen here, you'll see that it says, address every reason a patient may have for discontinuing. Okay, we want to talk about that because in your audience, you might have patients that are saying, well, I came in, I got adjusted. It was a miracle cure. I don't have pain anymore. I don't think I need to go anymore, right? Well, let's address that. Number 1 is, what if they're thinking in their mind, I may need to continue forever? Okay, so make sure you address that in your class, in your talk. What about the symptoms may increase or they may go away? Well, that's another thing that you want to address in the class. because you might have patients, like I was saying, where their pain's already gone and they're wondering, why do I need to continue? Or it may be a month into their care and they still have pain, but it's because they have some permanent damage. So we want to address that. The other one is cost, right? If somebody's pain is gone and they're wondering, why should I keep paying for this when I feel great? Well, then you want to address that. And it's best to address these topics one at a time. And I'll tell you how to do that in just a second. The last one is time. What about those patients in your audience who are thinking, this is great, my pain's gone, these appointments are taking a lot of my time. I think I'd be better off if I didn't have to come to all these appointments because I'd have more time, right? We want to address those and make sure that we use those in a story and in a framework where they're addressed, and then that can appease those questions that patients are holding on to in their head. Okay, so those are just some examples we want to address so that patients don't discontinue care, and we're using the format of the Health Talk marketing to do that. The next section is the close to generate referrals. So, and I'm just going to read through this with you because this is a great way to not only wrap up your health talk, but it's also a great way to stimulate lots of referrals. So it says first, lead up to the close by providing testimonials and examples of symptoms throughout the orientation. Well, providing testimonials, you think, well, what are the topics of the testimonials? It's probably going to be around symptoms. It may also be around, here was a patient who thought he was going to have to come forever. Well, here we are 20 years later, and the damage from his subluxations has not progressed at all. It's been completely stable. He got back to golfing, and he still golfs to this day, and he attributes it to because he's getting adjusted and continuing chiropractic care. So for those of you who are thinking, wow, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Well, just know you should plan on what do you want to do for the rest of your life. And if you ever have your health to back you up, how much better will you be able to do that thing that you like to do, right? We talked about symptoms. How about money? I had a new patient, and this is a story during the orientation. I had a patient who was concerned about how much it was going to cost to get chiropractic care. When he came in, I found out that he wasn't working because he was in so much pain. Well, we started taking care of him. His pain went away. Now he's back to work, and he says, thank you, Dr. Sawyer, so much for helping me, because I literally was going to be homeless if I didn't get my health back. Now that I have my health back, I'm working and I'm doing the things that I love to do. And it's all because of chiropractic care. So those are just some examples, but those are the ways that you'll want to lead up to the close by providing testimonials and examples of symptoms. Then on the orientation talk referrals, which I provide for you on the website, you can ask your patients to write down names of people that they know that they would like to refer in. Okay. And there's more examples as we go through. I'm not going to go through this whole page right now, but the next one says, ask that they add leads to the referrals page. Number 3, explain the difference between a doctor of chiropractic versus a doctor of medicine. Doctor of medicine is interested in masking symptoms. Doctor of chiropractic is interested in correcting the cause. And we talk about sick care versus health care. We show before and after x-rays because that's something that I do in my office. And then here's where I use the orientation talk chart of effects, and I give specific examples of where the nerves go in the body and what symptoms a subluxation would cause if those nerves were being pinched. When I'm going through those symptoms and I'm telling stories about patients who had those symptoms resolved through chiropractic care, that's when, and you'll love this, that's when my audience starts writing down names. And that's how we get to the 100+ referrals through one class, because they'll literally take out their phone and say, wow, I know somebody with headaches. That's my Aunt Joanne. They'll take out their phone, they'll write down Joanne's name and phone number on the paper. And they'll say, oh, wow, you know what? That other person, that friend of mine I know that has back pain, I'm going to pull his name and phone number and write him down. Oh, and I have that other patient or other friend of mine that has high blood pressure. I'm going to write their name and phone number down. Oh, and I have another friend that has heartburn. That can be helped with chiropractic care. I'm going to write their name and their phone number. Oh, and of course, my coworker, he has low back pain. I'm going to write his name and his phone number. And they start listing these names with phone numbers directly out of their phone on your page. and then you can go and follow up to get them scheduled. Okay. And I know we're pushing up against the hour. This is a lot of information today, but I know it's going to help you to build a very successful practice. So I'm going to keep going for a few more minutes, because the next section on this outline says follow up to schedule the referrals. You think, how do you do that? A lot of people don't even answer their phone anymore. So what we've found works best is by getting the names and phone numbers on that page during the orientation or during the health talk. That allows us to go back to the office and text message each one of those numbers a welcome note. Hi, I'm Dr. Scott Sawyer. So-and-so referred you, and I'd love to talk to you more about how we can help. Then, once you've texted that, then you make the phone call. So if you found that a lot of people don't answer their phones these days, if you send a text message first and then you make the phone call, you'll find a much higher percentage answers the phone. And that's what we provide in the outline here. There's another resource on DC Trainings, the Referral Marketing Outline and Script, that shows how to follow up with new patient leads. So look that up and you'll see the continuation of how to communicate with those leads and get them scheduled as new patients. Okay, so back to the web page, there's a whole bunch of forms that you can look through. We have the orientation health talk details. We have the nutrition health talk details. We have public talk outline and details. So if you're speaking to companies, it's all on there. And we even have videos showing you how to do each one of these. Now, the one I want to point out that's really, really beneficial for you is called the Close for Health Talks demo. I want you to watch this video. This is a literal example or a replay of a close and how you generate massive numbers of referrals from your health talks. So be sure to watch that video on the website. It's only 5 minutes long, and you'll see how to close your health talks so you're generating those referrals. So, and that'll wrap that up. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, though, January 21st is our next seminar, Team Development. So don't forget to RSVP. That will be here at my office. It's a live seminar. Of course, you'll also be able to join remotely if you need to. But please get ready for that. So I want to just take a moment and just to say how much I appreciate all of you being part of DC Trainings. We're in the holiday season, so this is just a great time of the year to give thanks, to celebrate our abundance in health, in chiropractic. I've been a chiropractor for 25 years. My wife, myself, we all get adjusted every week. Our kids, they were born at home, that we all get adjusted. So we live and breathe this chiropractic philosophy that basically says that through a subluxation-free nervous system that we can all experience life to a fuller capacity. And what better time of the year to celebrate that than coming into Christmas, the new year is right around the corner, and then we kick off 2023 with that level of abundance. So just want to say thank you to all of you for being a part of DC Trainings again, and being a part of the solution of good health for your communities, wherever you are. So let's raise the ceiling, let's take it to the limit and spread the good word, incorporate more health talks. So we're speaking to the public about chiropractic everywhere we go. Again, thank you. Have a great day, have a great week, and enjoy the holidays. I'll talk to you next week.
If you would like to become a member of DC Trainings, be sure to head on over to dctrainings.com to get started today.